Shall I introduce you?
Yes, please.
No, you know that, of course, Pierre is focusing on all the innovative stuff, which relieves me a lot from a lot of work, because he has to deal all with the new standards, and he has to fight against other very large organizations. I'm not naming them, maybe you can guess, in standardization committees who put forward, let's say, incompatible views with our views and European and other kind of human right views. So he has to put up with that. So thanks for your patience. And maybe you check whether it works now. Yeah, sure.
Thanks. I used to walk a lot when I do presentations, so... No. That's just I have this tendency otherwise to walk like that, to make sure. Thanks a lot. So my name is Pierre Gronlier. Today I will try to make sexy a topic which is a bit boring, standardization. And there will be three phases. With three descriptions of how I believe that's relevant for the work that we are doing, technical work that we are doing. There are three organizations that we are involved with, so 3 slides. It's not that long. The first one, that will be the work that we do with CINO. A lot of partners working with us at CINO are here today in the room. And that's to give you a quick update of what we've done so far. So I'm very pleased to inform you that most of the Gaia-X technical specifications are part now of the CINO trusted data transaction. We have contributed significantly, all the entire staff, to the functional part and technical part. And now that is being done in CINO, the next step will be to do that at the ISO level. Again, you will have to, as reusing your own word, be challenged by a bigger organization. And also very happy to announce that thanks to application from Christophe, we are a liaison organization for GTC 25.
Legally speaking,
No.
need to sign the contract.
Okay.
But there is no, because this is
I don't have the black in man, man in black, man in black. Okay, forget the last line. Soon. Yes. So how does it relate with the work, for example, of verifiable controls? That sounds very hard, like PDF, standardization, and how that relates. Well, oh yes, one last note before going to that. Part of that transaction, there was kind of a lock being created by some organization to prevent the use of virtual person. And I'm happy to, thanks to, you see that we had a lot of support, Gaia-X, fireware, I shared CINO, to remove that lock, and we will have to carry on that work at the ISO level next. So how does it relate to that? Part of the specification now, we have this section about claim policy and evidence. And what are those? Well, claim policy and evidence are basically requirements that are built on the requirement extracted from verifiable controls. So inside the specification, you will see text such as, you will need to have an identifier, an issuer identifiable. You need to have each policy claim and evidence with an identifiable object. Basically, that's the credential subject ID of your VC. So basically, we took the technical part that you use in the clearinghouse in your specification, and we transcribed that back into text for the normalization. So basically, that's what I'm saying. When we have Gaia-X Trust Framework inside the standards, that's indirectly how we made it. Validity. Nothing very fancy, date time, expiration time, issuance date time, and so on. The content integrity was a very important one, so that we make sure that every time you have a claim, a policy, and evidence, if you want to be able to decentralize it or exchange that, you need to be able to verify its content, that it has not been modified. So again, the use of electronic signature here is of relevance. And I think that's all for that part. And those requirements are part of the claim, policy, and evidence that are at the very beginning of the standards. So basically, all the other requirements are built on top of that one. Yes, Mark, please.
Who is the issuer?
The issuer of the claim, of the evidence, all of them. Any issuer. Could be you. If, for example, you want to issue something about your content. If you want to issue, for example, consent for the processing purpose of your personal data, you are the only eligible issuer, in fact. So that needs to be you. Bert, please. Yes. validation here. Because the verification relies on the issuer. So validation is the likeliness. Yes, in standardization, there is these differences between a verification and a validation. But if you want to have your coffee break, you might want to stop me at some point. Different. Okay, since I'm it. Validation, you just verify that it looks like, it's the trustworthiness. The verification, it's actual verification of the content, assessment of the content. So there is one that will say, for example, I validate that it looks like valid email addresses. The verification, it's actually sending the email, waiting for the confirmation. The next standard we are working on is on the Eclipse data space working group. And here we have made a significant contribution that is being called the Eclipse Conformity Assessment Profile, CAP. And basically that enables us to have the capacity to express certification in a machine-readable way. We've talked about credential, and now if I'm asking you, how do you validate, how do you express that, for example, your ISO certification 7001 or health or cybersecurity, how do you express that as a verifiable credentials? That's exactly what this profile enables you to do. For the standardization, we need to have 3 artifacts, the specification, which is being done. That's an ontology file. There is also a human readable version of it, but as a turtle file, TTL or XML. The shape, that's, for example, mandating that when you issue a claim, you have an issuer, a date. That's mandatory attributes. And the reference implementation is ongoing. And it looks like that. For anyone who've seen the Gaia-X ontology, that will be based on the same framework, same type of deliverable. And then, yes, we are the version 2.13 when I made those slides this weekend. Example of enablement. Again, how does it relate? Yes, Alberto. Sure. It's within the data space, Eclipse working group. No, it's not an ISO standard yet. One day. So an example of enablement, certification we've seen sometimes, even for the Power of Attorney. They're paper-based, PDF-based. It's requiring a lot of manual work to read them, to assess them. And expensive, and usually when you have the scope, when you read the scope, it's unclear. So here I'm going to give you an example of how we can combine Eclipse CAP with ODRL. So not as a turtle, because the last time I did that, people complained that it was too technical. So I removed all the technical part and expressed that in English today. You still have an ODRL offer. It's an object of the ODRL ontology. You have an ODRL request, and I highlighted in red, in color, sorry, yellow, green, and cyan, the different constraints that are expressed in this offer request. And at the end of this reconciliation of claim and evidence, because here you will have claim, evidence, and proof, the same thing that we have in the trusted data association, you will have a ODRL agreement, and then you will be able to move forward with your contractualization. And the request here is to find a data center within your area. So I look at the available data center near Valencia. There are a few of them. And for example, if you have someone who wants to express, I want my data to only be processed here locally in Valencia for administrative purpose, for whatever purpose you see fit for your ecosystems, well, then this is something that you can express. Good? I see that you wanted to say, no, okay. And the last one, we are also working with the OpenID Foundation. Here for the OpenID Foundation, they are making a lot of very good progress with the standardization of the OpenID for VC. OpenID Foundation is also ISO, they also have a fast track for ISO standardization. That's why the OpenID Connect is now finally in ISO standards. OpenID Connect is built on several RFC themselves, the same RFC that are used inside OpenID for VC. So all of that make it's a global mix of specification working together. The verifiable representation is probably one of the most advanced specification among the 3 that are within the Eclipse, the OpenID for VC working group. ID stands for implementers draft, meaning that this is already the third version that is being implemented and verified through testing interoperability testing. So usually from the feedback of the OpenID Foundation, when you reach level third one, it's very close to final. So we can expect to have a final version of the OpenID for VC, at least the verified representation part, quite soon. They have also a very interesting workshop, a new group about authority specification, and that's very much linked to the Power Fortinet that we were talking about. Turns out when you want to mix with AI, with agent, how do you delegate rights to your car? How do you delegate rights to an AI agent? Please book my tickets. If the agent booking the ticket make a mistake when they misspell your name, when they book like first class for the entire family, how do you, well, could happen maybe one day. Maybe people are doing that on purpose also. How do you get accountable, the agent accountable for that? Where is the proof that you had this consent, this right delegation? There is some right delegation that are implicit. If you ask, and that was a use case in the US, I'm not aware of that in Europe, if you ask your car to recharge itself, to go and recharge itself, yes, very futuristic, but apparently possible out there. Implicitly, you enable your car to drive on the road. If a car accident happens, what's happening? So this is a very interesting working group from the OpenID Foundation. Please, Juanro. Correct. No. It's a completely different slide. You have three organizations. Yes. And I set up. DCP? It's not the same DCP. I'm not. Yeah. Basically, they use the same acronyms for two different things. So I'm explaining that one. This is the OpenID Foundation Digital Credential Protocol, which is also called DCP and has nothing to do with the Eclipse Decentralized Claim Protocol, which is called Eclipse DCP. Yes, indeed. It's the name of their working group. Sorry? It's this, no. OpenID for VC lives within the DCP working group of the OpenID Foundation.
This is why it's called protocols. They are developing several protocols all around digital finance.
Yeah, I probably, okay, fair. I will prefix everything by OpenID. I will prefix everything with OpenID. It's a very good feedback. Thank you, Juanro. So it's a OpenID Foundation. Mark, please. I will not use the word conflict. I will use the word duplicate. Correct, yeah. Correct. The main difference... No.
Actually, that's no longer true. And they allow nowadays any form of credential. But honestly, this is a completely separate discussion. And also in view of the coffee break, not in view of the networking dinner, but to take that outside.
So the slides are really up to date, as mentioned by Christophe. They should have been removed. With the hat of innovation officer, I will just trust when I see the source code. So that's why I'm still. But I haven't read it yet. Okay. So it should be there. Anyway, I will. I will agree that this doesn't cover the entire, it's not exactly the same thing. OpenID for VC was really built with man-in-the-loop intention. So verification of the human, which doesn't prevent automation if you want to skip the human. The other way around is way harder to implement. If you have automated everything and not planned for human interaction from the beginning, adding human in the loop later is much harder. So this is why the selection of Gaia-X was for OpenID for VC. And I'm going in the wrong way. So we've seen this one, Eclipse, OpenID, the example, OpenID Foundation. The authority specification. The benefit also of the OpenID Foundation, they have years of existence with the use of RFC. They have security audit about their workflow. The entire 3 set of protocols here are going through formal mathematical proof by the Stuttgart University in terms of security. So you know exactly if there is a leak potential. They are way more invested and experienced in building protocols for exchanging credential than anyone else I know about. I mean, 2 days, if you go home, most likely you are going to use OpenID for VC, OpenID for Connect, or protocol build around that. So yeah, definitely from Gaia-X point of view, the safest choice. And yeah, we kind of cover with that man in the loop, capacity to have the authority to act. And this is definitely something interesting to see within the context of OpenID for VC, because basically that's being built by the same group of people who talk to each other. So we can expect, for example, this right delegation to be later compatible with OpenID for VC natively, which will be required. I mean, and that's the last slide. Which will be required to have really an ecosystem at scale. And for many of the ecosystem that we have today, health, you need to have the consent of the patient. Skills, when you ask, for example, an example that was given to me by EDF, French electricity provider, producer. They are building nuclear stations. If they want to allow someone to enter within the area just to cut the trees, they need to verify the accreditation of the guy who will go and cut the trees. And this is not an accreditation that is given to the company, it's an accreditation which is given to a human. The people who will weld iron and steel, that's again a qualification on the human, not an organization. So we cannot remove human, totally remove human from all those use cases. For trusted data transaction, at some point down the line, when all the right delegation have been given, yes, machine to machine, obviously you want to automate that. But at the beginning, to establish this trust relation, EIDAS and human. And that will be my last presentation, last slide before the coffee break. Thank you very much.